Welcome to FinTechs from Laura and Anthony. The buzz around Samsung's next foldable flip phone is really starting to ramp up, isn't it? I mean, these devices have really captured people's imaginations with that cool, compact design and uh, a price that feels, relatively speaking, within reach in the foldable space.
It absolutely has. There's a genuine excitement building. These flip phones have found a real sweet spot, blending that innovative foldable tech with, everyday practicality. So what we're aiming to do today is maybe cut through some of the noise, the early glimpses, the leaks, to give you a much clearer picture of what Samsung might be cooking up next.
Okay, so let's get right into it. When are we likely to actually see this thing, and what kind of dent might it make in our bank accounts? Looking back, Samsung's previous flip phone launches, they've been around July or August, right?
Yeah, mostly.
The Z Flip 6 was July, Z Flip 5 and 4 were August, but then the 6 shipped in July too. So that summer window seems pretty consistent.
It does.
And we're even hearing whispers uh, of a potential unveiling in early July, maybe around the 2nd or the 9th. It's always intriguing when those dates start firming up a bit.
It is fascinating how those patterns emerge, yeah. And for those of you thinking about budgeting, the early signs are quite interesting. Multiple sources are suggesting the starting price could be, well, in the same ballpark as the current Galaxy Z Flip 6.
Okay, so around that $1,100 mark.
Exactly. About 1,100 US, 1,050 UK, $1,800 Australian, roughly. It suggests Samsung's may be aiming for an iterative improvement rather than a huge price shift, which makes sense given how popular the current pricing is.
Right, don't fix what isn't broken, maybe.
Kind of. And we're also seeing reports that production on these new foldables is slated to kick off in May. That really reinforces that whole July-August timeframe.
Makes sense.
Plus, those eagle-eyed observers have spotted the codename B7 and the model number SMF751 popping up, so development is clearly well underway.
All right, let's dive into what this phone might actually look and feel like in our hands. Samsung themselves hinted during an earnings call at new foldable products with improved form factors and durability.
Yeah.
That definitely suggests they're focusing on refining the physical bits.
That official statement is always a strong signal, yeah. And fitting with that, we're getting some interesting buzz about potentially larger screens. One report suggests maybe a 6.85-inch foldable display, a little bigger than the current 6.7 inches.
Oh, interesting.
But what's really catching attention is the possibility of a roughly 4-inch cover screen.
Wow, that's quite a jump from 3.4 inches.
It is. And we've heard that 4-inch figure mentioned more than once now, which makes it feel a bit more substantial. Imagine the possibilities, having that extra screen real estate on the outside.
Exactly. Think about quickly checking notifications or maybe even using more app features without even flipping it open. That'd be handy. And it sounds like they're also working on the hinge. There's talk of a smoother, more durable mechanism,
Yeah.
which would be a fantastic upgrade for the overall feel and the longevity of the device.
Absolutely. A more robust hinge adds to that feeling of quality.
And the crease.
Hmm.
Still hoping for less crease.
Always. The persistent hope for a less noticeable display crease is definitely still alive. That enhances the viewing experience so much. But what's really exciting are some of the renders that have surfaced. They're hinting at a full-width cover screen.
A full width one.
Yeah, that could be a real game changer in how we interact with the phone when it's shut.
Unlocking a whole new level of quick access.
Yeah.
I like the sound of that.
It really could.
And what about colors? Any hints there?
Well, we're hearing whispers about potential options, including a vibrant coral red
Ooh, nice.
and possibly a blue variant based on some of those renders we were just talking about.
Okay. Now let's shift gears a bit and talk cameras. Some reports are suggesting the camera system might just be, well, the same as the Z Flip 6. Like a 50 MP main, a 12 MP ultra wide, and that 10 MP selfie camera.
If that holds true, yeah, it might feel like a bit of a plateau for anyone hoping for a big jump in camera hardware.
A little disappointing, maybe.
Potentially.
Mhm.
However, even if the sensors stay the same, we should still expect to see improvements in the image processing side of things. Samsung's been doing a lot with AI in photography lately.
That's true.
So we could see, enhanced night mode, maybe better zoom through computational tricks, or new creative shooting modes using that on-device intelligence.
Right, so it's not always just about the megapixels. Software plays a huge role.
Exactly. A huge role.
Okay, now let's peek under the hood. Power and battery. This is where things get a little hazy, some conflicting info.
A little bit, yeah. Multiple sources seem to think Samsung's owned Exynos 2500 chipset could be running the show.
And that's meant to be pretty powerful.
Supposedly, yes. If it's in there, we'd likely see a noticeable performance boost compared to the Snapdragon in the current model.
Hmm.
However, there's another strong contender in the mix. We've seen reports suggesting that the yields for the Exynos 2500 might not be as high as they'd hoped,
Production issues.
potentially, which has led to speculation that we could see a version with the Snapdragon 8 Elite, specifically tuned for Galaxy
Right,
devices.
the 4 Galaxy version. That was a chip many were hoping for anyway, wasn't it?
It absolutely was. So it's a bit of a wait-and-see situation on the chipset front, really.
And RAM and storage? Anything new there?
We're hearing potential for 12 GBs of RAM and the same storage options as before, 256 GB or 5 old GBs, so pretty standard there.
Okay. Anything else on the internals? Cooling, perhaps?
Actually, yeah. There's an interesting rumor about a larger vapor chamber being included for improved cooling.
That helps with sustained performance, right? Like for gaming.
Exactly. It's basically a more efficient way to dissipate heat so the phone can maintain peak performance for longer, especially when you're pushing it.
Good for power users. And the battery. Any increase expected?
It's looking increasingly likely we'll see a 4,300 mAh battery.
Oh, nice. That's a decent step up from the Z Flip 6's 4,000 mAh.
It is. That extra capacity, maybe combined with more efficient processors and displays, it could translate to a real, tangible improvement in battery life for users.
So to quickly bring it all together then, it sounds like the next Samsung foldable flip phone is shaping up to be a pretty interesting evolution. Likely launch in July or August, probably a similar starting price.
Seems that way.
You could see larger screens, maybe a much more useful cover display. That 4-inch rumor is exciting.
Definitely.
And while the cameras might have similar hardware, software improvements are definitely expected.
Yeah, the AI factor.
The chipset is still a bit of a toss-up between Exynos and Snapdragon, but we're likely looking at a bigger battery and better cooling. Lots to potentially look forward to.
Exactly. There are definitely some promising potential upgrades on the horizon, particularly in the display and battery areas. The chipset decision will be key for performance, of course. And like you said, even if the camera hardware isn't a massive leap, those software enhancements could still deliver significant improvements day to day.
Well, that gives you a fantastic overview of what the rumor landscape looks like right now for the upcoming Samsung foldable flip phone. We'll definitely be keeping our ears to the ground for any more developments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.